just a bit more interactive. So I'll just introduce to the beginner level programming in Python. So for Python, like the basic interpreter is Python, right? So you can directly have shell like this, but
You have to move your screen. Okay. Hey, I think you can take the stairs slowly. So we need to do some typing.
So here you can't do much. So I'll just go to B Python. So
Hey, can you like move it up the screen maybe?
yeah. So like if you are working with some module, I'll just go with WebApp module. See, it started giving you suggestions. So import, it will just give you suggestion. You just press tab, it will complete it for you. So I've just imported WebApp, and like if I want to create some objects, or if I want to just explore the WebApp, what exactly this module is, I'll just print WebApp, press dot, and it will show all the methods contained in it. I'll just go with the first one, base request, and as soon as I press the starting braces, it will show the parameters it takes, and if it has the docstring defined in that, it will show the docstring also. So you can kind of get the idea of how exactly that function works. So I haven't done much with this WebApp. So
You got IPython installed in your machine?
yeah, this is B Python. It's similar to IPython.
In case you can show the difference. B Python is like this, IPython is like this. So you can install simultaneously.
I haven't worked with IPython. You can show it.
But you have installed it in your machine?
Let me check.
No.
So yeah, IPython. What's the difference?
So IPython has got a lot of other features like you can save all your logs, and you can use it as a notebook also, and you can call a Linux command inside the Python Python interpreter. So example, sudo pip install requests. I don't want to leave my IPython interpreter to go to Linux terminal to install from inside the interpreter. I can do all my Linux commands, and there are other features like you can draw a graph. So IPython is like kind of other world where you can use it as a notebook. You can collaborate with the people. There are lots of other features also.
Okay. And for the editor, I was using Komodo Edit. So I just liked one feature. So I think this feature might be there for some other IDs also. So one good thing about it is, if some method calls some other method, you just right click on it, and it will show you go to definition. So it will directly lead you to the definition of that file. In this case, it's not able to find it. We go with somewhere else. Then create share. I'll just go to definition, and it will directly lead me to the definition. Where is it? No, I think again it's not able to find it. So it works in most of the cases, but it's not working out. Oh, it's showing actually it's in the same file. Yeah. So even I am a Python beginner, so these are the tools that's kind of used. So that's pretty much it.
Even the Eclipse plugin also does the same.
Okay. So yeah, I haven't tried Eclipse because it's kind of very resource heavy.
Yeah.
Actually, you can use C tags for that. You can use C tags here. The most basic thing that you can that just does only that. You can use it in VI, Emacs or K8 or Full.
Okay, is it there in BI also?
Yeah.
Okay, I was searching for it.
But you do need to get some configuration done around it.
Okay, it's
And
kind of
not-
a plugin to VI.
Yeah.
Is it?
Are we done? Anybody else interested to should do any lightning talks? Or you want to have a general discussion? Or you can have a discussion in the garden also because tea and is ready.
I can quickly run through some of these IDs because the ID is what is mentioned. We have
They might have copied from the general form. Still, they didn't.
Visual Studio has plugin for Python and Python. So you get like very good debugging and refactoring and all the features inside it. Which
I use Sharp Cover.
Sharp Developer is free actually. Okay. That has all the features, right?
Yeah, all the
Refactoring and everything. Yeah, so we could try to put that only runs on Windows. Sharp Developer runs on Linux, right?
I don't know, I use a Windows on my
I think Sharp Developer runs on Linux also. Probably work in.
I use Eclipse, so it's also has pretty much same. So you can do all the debugging.
All the
Yeah, but
Even
it
Eclipse
is a
supports it.
little resource intensive.
Otherwise, you can use
No,
Aptana.
no, it's not much, that much resources.
No, actually,
it will take a
yeah.
few hundred MBs, that's all,
Okay.
of your RAM.
So I basically work
Anyway,
on
so
virtual
I
machine.
primarily use for Java, so I just install plugins.
Makes more sense. It's the same editor you use for.
Yeah, just you need to change the perspective and use your.
Who mentioned after I did go for it because I was working on
Yeah,
the
again.
so Java is usually related to Linux.
I've used both. So maybe because
So the problem with all these IDs, like they are slow. Like you have to go, unless you are really troubleshooting, debugging some program, you really don't need an ID.
But if you're developing web application, definitely you need.
Yes.
You're not only working on Python, you're for an HTML, CSS, JavaScript. There is n number of other languages out of it. So,
Yeah.
Again, every day you'll be getting a new modules, new packages, new libraries. You doesn't know all the things, so you need a code assistant, you need a debugging. So you cannot do much on this. So I was trying to stick to Vim and Emacs in earlier times. So I don't have any other options.
Yeah, but in Vim, did you try PY mode plugin?
I tried it, and again, so I I work on different languages, Java.
Okay.
So it's very difficult to remember all these things. So it's better to go and stick with some commonalities. Again, I work on Windows as well as Linux. So I don't know which time I work for Java on Linux, Java on Windows, or Python on Windows. So whatever the systems, the virtual machine which I get, so I used to work on it. So
Yeah.
so it's something like a platform independent. I need something which I need to no need to remember all the shortcuts and other things. So that's why I found Eclipse is the best option. Even though if it is resource sensitive, but we are in a, living in an age where so all the hardwares and everything it's double, triple. When we started some long years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So usually interpreter is good when we are testing code, or like
Yeah.
you've written some library, you want to test if the library works properly, you can just call it from the interpreter, test it quickly.
Yeah.
Or if you're exploring a new library, you can do it from there. But like when you're actually writing your application, I think interpreter is probably the bad place to start.
Yeah, again, so you
Yeah,
have
yeah, that's what I said,
source
like,
control and other number of machines.
correct. So yeah, I mean, but when you are getting started with the language, basically, you are getting started, you are exploring how the list work, how the dictionary work, how the basic things work, and all this thing, right? So that is, interpreter is more than enough, right? So that is because the IDE will slow you down, in fact, when you are starting.
The interpreters are not a scripting language. For compile language like C# and Java, we need IDE. Every time you can go to cell and compile it. Just
Yeah.
For Python, Ruby, interpreters I found very good. Interpreters are been okay, but for Java and C#,
There are no
we need a,
interpreters for the
the cell is
There is no interpreter.
oh, for
C#
it.
or Java.
Definitely.
Yeah,
That
C#
because
yeah.
we definitely need the IDE.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, for C# and other thing, you need an IDE because it's a huge one. You need to compile,
Yes.
and there are a lot of dependencies. Because even the Python, the approach of Python is an incremental development, right? So you don't even finish your entire function. You write few statements, you test it. Write few statements, you test it. That's how you develop Python. It's highly dynamic environment. So actually, I'm writing an online book. It's just a primer for Python. It is I'm loading it on my website. It's zatvia.com. So all this information I showed it to you. It's there. So it's a draft book, but it's a work in progress. But yeah, you may find it useful. In Python, I mean, the thing is that we have really good documentation to get started. But the online documentation, when you are developing something, I would rate the Python documentation is not as good as PHP. So the PHP, PHP.net, if you go, the biggest thing which is lacking is for me is in examples. Right? So you have a very nice documentation. It's like a man page. It's factually correct, but there is no single example. Right? So you need to read some 2-3 pages to figure out how you have to do some date formatting or something. So that is something I think will get improved over time. But yeah, so that is something I wanted to share with you. Okay, thank you.
If you want any of the lightweight text editor, I would recommend Sublime.
Yeah,
Sublime.
sometimes a lot of plugins with Java.
The connector is
So best part of Sublime is written in Python and you can write extension in Python.
Because I developed HTML and CSS exactly use that. So you have plugins like in Django plugin where you have highlighting for the code highlighting and autocomplete option. So it's very easy also because it uses Python scripting for all the plugins. So you can write your own.
The text editor itself is written in Python.
Yeah.
It's not open source, but it's free to use.
Yeah, but the main program is written in C++.
And C++, wrapper and Python.
Best thing is it is cross-platform and it's free to use. I mean, every 9 times you save, you get a pop-up. That's fine. I don't want to pay like $30.
So Samosa and tea is outside the garden, you can grab it.